Hello, this is the fifth tale in the collection A Book of Magic Animals by Ruth Manning-Sanders, and the fifth story, which is a Russian one, has the somewhat odd title of Tralala. An old man had a little cockerel with a golden comb, and he also had a clever little cat with green eyes. And one morning he said to the clever little cat, "Puss, my dear, today I'm going into the forest to fell some trees for our landlord. You must cook me a nice dinner and bring it into the forest at midday, and little Peter Cock shall stay and mind the house." Then the old man took his axe and his saw and walked off into the forest. Clever little cat Green Eyes stoked up the fire and baked a meat pie. Little Peter Cock, who was rather lazy, sat perched on a chair back, watched little cat Green Eyes and crowed, "Cock-a-doodle-doo! Oh, what a busy little girl you are!" So, when the pie was nicely cooked, little cat Green Eyes took it out of the oven, put it in a basket and said, "Peter Cock, now I'm off. Shut the window and lock the door behind me. Stay in the kitchen. Don't go out, lest Slippery Fox come prowling and snatch you up and carry you away." "Trust me," said little Peter Cock. "Well, I hope I can trust you," said little cat Green Eyes, and off she went with the basket. Little Peter Cock locked the door, little Peter Cock shut the window, little Peter Cock gobbled up a piece of pie crust that little cat Green Eyes had left for him. He flapped his wings and strutted about the kitchen. "This is very boring," said little Peter Cock. "Why couldn't I have gone into the forest with that meat pie? But there, master doesn't trust me, and little cat Green Eyes doesn't trust me. I'm a very ill-used bird." And he sulked. Then came Slippery Fox peeping through the window, and Slippery Fox began to sing. "Kee-o, kee-o, anyone at home? Kee-o, Peter Cock with a golden comb. Open the window if you please, and I will give you some nice green peas." "Green peas, did you say?" cried little Peter Cock. Yes, I like green peas." And he opened the window and put his head out. Snap! Slippery Fox caught hold of little Peter Cock's head, dragged him out of the open window and ran off with him. Then little Peter Cock began to scream, little cat Green Eyes, Slippery Fox is carrying me away. He's carrying me along the road and over the fields, beyond the dark forest, behind the high mountains, to a foreign land, to the ends of the earth. Little cat Green Eyes, help, help, help." Little cat Green Eyes was coming back from the forest. She heard Peter Cock's screams. She ran. She caught up with Slippery Fox. She pounced. She bit Slippery Fox on the side of his neck. Slippery Fox opened his mouth. He dropped Peter Cock and scampered away. Little Peter Cock lay on the ground with his eyes shut. He thought he was dead. But little cat Green Eyes picked him up, gave him a shake, and carried him home. Next morning the old man went again into the forest, and again little cat Green Eyes cooked a nice dinner and put the dinner in the basket to carry it to her master in the forest. And before she went, she said, "Now, Peter Cock, remember, a locked door and a fast-closed window, and neither door nor window to be opened until I come back." "Oh, I'll remember this time," said Peter Cock. "Well, I hope you will," said little cat Green Eyes, and off she went with the basket. She hadn't been gone long when there came Slippery Fox again, prowling outside the window, and Slippery Fox began to sing. "Kee-o, kee-o, anyone at home? Kee-o, Peter Cock with a golden comb. Kee-o, pretty orange nose. Kee-o, pretty yellow toes. I've brought you beans, I've brought you fish, served up together in a pretty little dish." "I don't believe you have brought me anything of the sort," said Peter Cock. and he hopped onto the windowsill, turned his head sideways and peered through the pane with one eye. Well, to be sure, Slippery Fox had something in his mouth, but Peter Cock couldn't see just what it was, so he opened the window and leaned out. But all that Slippery Fox had in his mouth was an old saucepan lid. Clitter, clatter, he dropped the lid. Snap, he caught hold of Peter Cock, dragged him out the window and carried him away. Then Peter Cock began to scream. Little cat, green eyes, Slippery Fox has got me again. He's carrying me away, along the road and over the fields, beyond the dark forest, beyond the iron mountains, to a foreign land, to the end of the earth. Little cat Green Eyes, help, help, help. Little cat Green Eyes was coming back from the forest. She heard Peter Cock scream. She ran. She caught up with Slippery Fox. She pounced. She bit Slippery Fox on the neck. Slippery Fox opened his mouth in a howl. He dropped Peter Cock. He scampered away. Little cat Green Eyes picked up Peter Cock and carried him home. You stupid thing. Little cat Green Eyes shook Peter Cock till his beak rattled. Will you never learn sense? Peter Cock didn't answer. He sulked. He felt very ill-treated, what with Slippery Fox deceiving him and Little cat Green Eyes scolding him, and turned his back on Little cat Green Eyes and began preening his rumpled feathers. Next morning the old man went as usual to work in the forest, and as usual Little cat Green Eyes cooked him a nice dinner, put the dinner in a basket and set off to carry it to the old man. And before she went she said to Peter Cock, Now listen to me. Today our master will be working deeper in the forest, a long way from here. If you are so silly as to let Slippery Fox carry you off, though you scream louder than loud, I shan't hear you. I shall be too far away. Now I've warned you. Then off went Little cat Green Eyes carrying the basket, and Peter Cock locked the door and shut the window. Then Slippery Fox began singing outside the window. This time he was singing about roast chestnuts. A whole bag full of roast chestnuts he said he had brought for Peter Cock. Ah, Peter Cock did like roast chestnuts. But he wasn't going to open the window, not he. Slippery Fox sang his song about roast chestnuts again and again, but Peter Cock sat on a chair back and preened his wings. Oh dear me, Peter Cock's mouth began to water, but no, he wasn't going to open the window. So at last Slippery Fox stopped singing. I don't think Peter Cock can be at home this morning, said he. I think he must have gone into the forest with Little cat Green Eyes. I shan't wait any longer. But I'll leave this bag of chestnuts here under the window for him to find when he comes back. Then Slippery Fox tiptoed away around the corner of the house and hid. Peter Cock flapped his wings and jumped off the back of the chair. He hopped onto the windowsill, turned his head sideways, and peered through the pane with one eye. No Slippery Fox to be seen. But had he really gone home, or was he just hiding round the corner? I must make sure about that, said Peter Cock, and he opened the window and put his head out. Snip! Snap! Slippery Fox leaped from behind the corner of the house, snatched up Peter Cock and carried him off. Help! 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 Peter Cock was screaming for Little cat Green Eyes, just as he had screamed yesterday, just as he had screamed the day before yesterday. But Little cat Green Eyes was far away deep in the forest, and she didn't hear Peter Cock's screams. Slippery Fox carried Peter Cock away to his house under the hill. By and by, Little cat Green Eyes comes home, and the old man comes home. Where's Peter Cock got to? Oh me, see the window is open, and see, here are some of Peter Cock's speckled feathers drifting in the breeze. Oh me, Slippery Fox must have carried off Peter Cock. The old man mourned. Little cat Green Eyes mourned. Clever, Little cat Green Eyes said, Master, if you allow me, I will set out to rescue Peter Cock. Yes, go, little cat, go, my dear, if you think you can manage it. I can manage it, said Little Cat Green Eyes, but first I must disguise myself. Then Little Cat Green Eyes tied a mask over her face, dressed herself up. She put on a long striped coat and a little fur cap and little red boots, and she slung a guitar over one shoulder. Master, she said, what do I look like now? Little Cat Green Eyes, you look like a strolling minstrel. Aha, said Little Cat Green Eyes. Then give me that great big strong leather sack you've got in the attic. The old man rummaged in his attic and found the great big strong leather sack. Here you are, little cat, said he. Then Little Cat Green Eyes rolled up the sack, tucked it under her arm and set off, skipping along the road at a great pace, till she came to the house of Slippery Fox. And outside the house she unrolled the great big strong leather sack, laid it down, and began to stroll about, twanging on the guitar and singing. Hey, hey, tralala, here I come with my guitar. Fox has 4 little daughters, oh, and 1 little son called Pulupko. Hey, tra-la-la, good little children, so they are. Come, come out, each pretty little dear, sweetest music you shall hear. Sing me, hear me, to sing to my guitar. Hey, hey, tra-la-la. Inside the house the fox children were listening. Papa, said the oldest little fox child, I am going out to see who is singing so beautifully. Well, run along then, said Slippery Fox, but come back soon. We're going to kill and cook Peter Cock presently. So the oldest little fox child went out. Oh, little Cat Green Eyes snatched her up and stuffed her into the big strong leather sack. Then Little Cat Green Eyes began to sing. Hey, hey, tra-la-la, here I come with my guitar. Fox has 3 more daughters, oh, and 1 little son called Pulupko. Hey, hey, tra-la-lay, come out children, hear me play. Play and sing to my guitar. Hey, hey, tra-la-la. Oh, Papa, said the second eldest little fox child, I want to go out and see the minstrel. Go, my dear, said Slippery Fox, but don't be long. And so the second fox child went out. Oh, Little Cat Green Eyes snatched her up and stuffed her into the big leather sack. Then Little Cat began to sing again. Hey, hey, tra-la-la. Slippery Fox was pushing sticks into the fire to make the oven hot. He hadn't killed Little Cock yet, but he had on the table with his feet tied together. Slippery Fox was laughing. Do you know why I'm stoking up the fire, little cock, with a golden comb? No, no, sobbed Little Cock. To roast you, my dear, to roast you, said Slippery Fox. Hey, hey, tra-la-la, sang Little Cat Green Eyes outside the window. Ow, Papa, Papa, said the third little fox child. Do let me go out and see the minstrel. I think he sings even better than what you do. Go, go, my dear, said Slippery Fox, but nobody sings better than what I do. So the third little fox child ran out. Slippery Fox began sharpening the carving knife. Little cock with a golden comb, said he. Do you know why I'm sharpening this knife? No, no, wept Little Cock. To kill you, my dear. To kill you, said Slippery Fox. Meanwhile, Little Cat Green Eyes had snatched up the third little fox child and stuffed it into the sack. Now Little Cat was singing again. Hey, hey, tra-la-la. Put some more sticks on the fire. Pile 'em up, pile 'em up, said Slippery Fox to the fourth little fox child. The fourth little fox child piled up the sticks on the fire till the flames flew up the chimney, and then she said,
"Papa, just let me go out and see the minstrel."
"Go on then, go," said Slippery Fox, "but come back quickly." So the fourth little fox child went out, and little cat Green Eyes snatched her up and stuffed her into the sack. Now there was only one fox child, little boy Pulupko, left in the kitchen. The fire roared, the oven was getting hot. Slippery Fox said to the little boy Pulupko, "Go out, sonny, tell your sisters to come in, or they will miss a fine sight. 'Cause now I'm going to kill little cock with a golden comb and put him in the oven." So little boy Pulupko ran out. Little cat Green Eyes snatched him up and stuffed him into the sack on top of his sisters. Then little cat Green Eyes began to sing again. "Hey, hey, tralala, 5 pretty children, here they are. Fox is 4 little daughters, and he's 1 little son called Pulupko. Now there lacks but Fox Papa to hear me sing to my guitar. Hey, hey, tra-la-la." "Take those children," said Slippery Fox. "The minstrel must have put a spell on 'em, though he doesn't sing half as well as what I do." And he hurried out to fetch the children. Whop! Down came Little Cat's guitar on the head of Slippery Fox. Little Cat knocked Slippery Fox silly and stuffed him into the sack along with his children. Then she fastened up the mouth of the sack and went into the kitchen, where Little Cock lay on the table with his feet tied together. Little Cock was shedding tears, but he cheered up when he saw Little Green Cat. "Oh, you stupid thing," said Little Cat Green Eyes. And she picked up the carving knife and cut the string from around Little Cock's legs. Little Cock stood up stiffly. He wiped his eyes with a draggled wing and gave a feeble crow. Then he hopped off the table and followed Little Cat Green Eyes out of the house. Little Cat Green Eyes took the sack and they set off for home. The sack was very heavy. Little Cat dragged it along the road, bump, bump, and Little Cock with the golden comb walked meekly by her side. "The trouble I have with you," said Little Cat to Little Cock. "But that I suppose you can't help being silly." "I won't be silly any more," whimpered Little Cock with the golden comb. "Oh, won't you?" said Little Cat Green Eyes. "But silly or no, I expect our master will be pleased to see you." The old man was indeed pleased to see Little Cock with the golden comb. He clapped his hands and said, "Welcome home, poor silly little cock. But as for Pussy Green Eyes, she's worth her weight in gold, so she is. And now what are we to do with this sack full of foxes?" "Take it into the forest and leave it there," said Little Cat Green Eyes. So that's what they did. They dragged the sack into the forest, dumped it down under a tree, and left it. Then they went home to supper. Inside the sack, Slippery Fox was gnawing and tearing. All the little fox children were gnawing and tearing. They tore their way out at last and ran back to their house. And Slippery Fox said, "Let this be a lesson to you, my children. Beware, beware, and evermore beware of green-eyed cats. But as far as I'm concerned, the old man can keep his stupid little cock with a golden comb. Catch me ever going near his ass again."